Hey everyone, it's Sebastian here at Cannabis Business Pro. I'm back with more questions that viewers like yourself have submitted to us to answer that I'm going to go through. So I've got questions here today that were submitted through our Facebook group. So if you're not in our Facebook group, there should be a link below for you to hop in there. It's completely free. We talk about all things cannabis. So come join that. And whenever you do join, there is a box that'll ask you if you have any questions. And then I hop on here and answer those for you. So let's get into the questions for this week. Okay, so the first question comes from Sandra. Sandra asks how to set up a website that's not going to cost a fortune. Okay, so websites are going to cost money. So there's two parts to a website. So the first thing is you have to get a domain. So a domain is going to be what your web address is. So for us, it's garsnetbeacon.com. That is what our domain is. And then we need to build a store where we're going to host that domain that is going to have our website, right? So there's two different things there. So the domain itself is going to cost $15 to $20 a year. I think ours is like $14 a year. And we get that through Squarespace. That's where we have all of our domains at. There's Squarespace, GoDaddy. You can get it right through Shopify if you would like to. That's not a huge issue of deciding where to get that from, because again, they're just hosting your domain. Any of the respectable domain hosts are going to be just fine. And the good thing is you can always transfer it. So if for some reason you're having issues with one provider of those domains and you decide you want to transfer it, it's very easy to do, and it happens almost instantaneously. So we, in fact, used to have our domain with Shopify, which is who we built our website through. But we wanted to have the freedom of having it separate because I have other websites such as candlebusinesspro.com. That's not a Shopify store. It's just it's a website. So I have that domain built on something that's not a e-commerce store. So I wanted to have all my domains together. So I moved them all over to Squarespace. That's where I host all of my domains. So I have one login, I can see all of them. And when I need to update some security features or DNS records, things, all that tech talk, I can do all of that in one space instead of thinking, oh, how do I go and update this and where do I have it hosted? And so we originally had our domains with Google. You can buy your domains directly through Google. Google has now sold all of those domains and transferred them all over to Squarespace. So it's just made it easiest for us that going forward, any domain that we buy, we just go right to squarespace.com and buy those. Okay, so that's the domain to own your name out there on the website, the www.yourbrand.com, right? As far as to build your website, so let me back up. So the domain is going to cost $15 to $20 a year. It renews annually. For that, you might get a few bucks of a break if you sign up for 3 or 5 years, see whatever promotion they might be having going on. So then to build your actual store. So there are a few options out there. I'm going to talk about a couple of them. Square is a common one now that a lot of people are deciding to use. Square is big with retail POS systems. So oftentimes now you go into, say, Starbucks or where you get your coffee or your ice cream or wherever you're at, right? That's not a super large supermarket or anything like that, not a Walmart register system, but in a lot of these independent stores, they have Square. It's very easy. It's all white. POS system is a brand name, is all white and has a little square. It's very convenient for doing markets because they give you a little Square reader. So a lot of people use Square. Square, I think, is probably the second best option out there. So the best option out there, I believe, is still Shopify. We built our store on Shopify before we were ever doing any markets. And then when we started doing markets, we were able to get a small card reader to run credit cards on. And then when we started doing wholesale, Shopify has the capabilities of handling all of that. And then now that we have 3 actual brick and mortar stores, we run our Shopify store on that. I'll actually grab this here for you. It's in a little stand, which it's plugged into the wall, but like this is it. Like this is our original card reader that we use out of markets, and we now use this inside of our store. And then we run everything off of an iPad. It's not gonna be the best out there for running retail stores, but the question was about building a website. Shopify is by far the best for e-commerce because it's built for e-commerce. It's not like these others that have specialized in other areas first and then decided to get into e-commerce. So I just think it's the best. It integrates with everything. All of our email software. So we use Klaviyo for our email software. It integrates up really nicely with that. So when someone buys something from our website, Klaviyo then sends them out the emails that I have set up for them. It also integrates with tons of review softwares. So people will start, that's where we get all our reviews collected from. Also, it integrates through, they have tens of thousands of third-party apps that are built that are really helpful. We won't go into the details of all of those apps and what we use. That will be a topic for another video, but it's really nice. And one of them that's really nice that I like is that there's an app that I can connect my Shopify store with my Etsy store. And that's really convenient for like when I do an update on, say, my inventory, or I do an update to my titles or descriptions or photos, because photos uploading to all these different places takes forever. Also, Shopify integrates really well with Fair. So if you're going to go down the route of using Fair for wholesale, Shopify integrates right with that. So there are other website builders out there. There's Wix, WooCommerce is out there now. There's other ones out there that are kind of in the industry now. But a lot of those, such as Wix, you will spend less upfront. So say it's $20 a month instead of Shopify's is $39 a month. I should have a link below that gives you your first month for $1. On my supply checklist, I have a bunch of discounts on there from people that we affiliate for or that we refer. And there's a Shopify link on there as well. But like there's other ones out there that you can use that are going to be less expensive on the front end than Shopify. Shopify they have a super basic store that's less expensive, but you really are going to need to have the capability of having unlimited products and really having the integrations and things. So you don't need Shopify Pro. I run 3 stores, 100 plus wholesale accounts, and almost $1 million in sales now. And I have not upgraded to Shopify Pro. I don't think it's worth it. $10 a month. It's not needed for me. I don't need it. We pay $39 a month. That's what we pay. Now, where I was going is you can on Wix, WooCommerce, other places, build out a website that's less expensive than $39 a month, but then you have to start paying for all those third-party apps that aren't going to be included. So just keep that in mind because most likely, from my experience of dealing with people that are in my inner circle membership that have built their website out on Wix and other places, you have to start paying, $5 for this, $10 for this, $7 for this. So to get a complete robust store like you will on Shopify, you're now paying more. I understand that $39 a month isn't going to be easy for everyone, or whatever the price might be right now to run a store, and they might want to go and save $5, $10, $15 here or there. But also Shopify is set up for your SEO optimization. If you have seen any of my videos that talk about how important SEO is, if you're in my inner circle, you've gone through our SEO workshop. That's where we have driven a lot of our traffic from, is optimizing all that and making sure that we're getting that organic traffic off the internet. For instance, if you type in mahogany teakwood, we're going to be on the first page of Google. That's actually an experiment that I was running a couple months ago to see if I can get us on the first page. We're now on the first page, and we're selling more of that candle now that we're on that first page. That's all SEO optimization. That's another video. But with Shopify, it makes updating your SEO for your website super easy. That's why I recommend that. So that's a long-winded answer. I go with Shopify for our store, and I would highly recommend anyone else to do the same. Now, as far as setting it up, there are a lot of marketing agencies that will build a Shopify store for you. In fact, we went down that route when we first started because I didn't know anything about it. So we paid, I think, $2,800 to have our website built. Here's the problem with paying someone. For one, it's very expensive and costs a lot of money. 2 is in a month from now, when you got to update your products, you got to update your photos, you got to update some SEO things. If you don't know how to do that yourself, you then got to go pay someone else to do all the updates. So I highly recommend learning how to do it. Now, so how do you learn how to do it? Shopify itself has tons of tutorials. YouTube itself has tons of tutorials. And let's talk about my inner circle membership again. So the very first workshop we did when we launched that, it's a 3-part, it's about 4 hours long, it's really robust. And I walk you step by step how to build a website. I bought a brand new domain that we now have this other brand out there that I bought the domain, and then I bought a brand new Shopify store and I built it step by step, showing you exactly how to do it. I also show you how to optimize it for a candle business, because there are certain nuances that you're going to want to do as you're building out your website so that it makes it super easy for you to make changes in the future. There's tons of tags and things that you can do that you can learn how to make an amazing, beautiful looking website out on YouTube. Totally fine. You're here on YouTube right now. Type in how to build a Shopify store. You will find unlimited resources. You will be able to find any answer you're looking for. But every store is going to be different for the niche that you're in. So being in the candle space, there are certain things that you're going to want in your store. And that's why so many people have signed up for our Inner Circle membership just for that workshop, just to get in there. It's, $50 a month or whatever the membership might be at the time that you're watching this video. It's probably worth learning how we set it up. And of course, you get all the other stuff that's in our membership as well. But that's just one of the selling points. So regardless of the direction you go, I highly recommend you learning how to build your website so that you can make all the changes that you need to in the future, because it's always evolving. You're always going to have new products. You're always going to have new photography. And then you're going to always have to work on your SEO. So hopefully that helps you there with deciding, Sandra, on how to and where to open up a website in your e-commerce store. So next question is candle math. And the question is, what formula do I use for wax and fragrance oil percentage? Okay, so it's always heated about how to do candle math. And there's two different formulas that you're either on this side or you're on that side. So one of those formulas is doing a oil to wax ratio. The other is doing an oil to total weight ratio. Those are the two different things you can do. With us, we do that second one, the oil to total weight ratio. For instance, say this candle right here, this is a 10-ounce candle, and I want my oil to be 10%. Since I know what my candle is going to be total at the end, I want it to be 10 ounces. I want a 10% fragrance load. I'm going to put 10% oil. So I'm going to do 10% of that 10 ounces. So I'm going to do 1 ounce of oil. So that makes it easy. 1 ounce of oil. Or another example would be if I am making a 16-ounce candle and I want that fragrance load to be 10%, then it's going to be 1.6 ounces of oil. And then the remainder is going to be that wax, 14.4 ounces of wax plus the 1.6 ounces of oil makes that 16 ounces total. That's the easy way to do it. That's the way so many people do it. You're going to see if you go to Makesy's website and look at their calculator, if you go to Candle Science and look at their calculator, a lot of the big suppliers have a calculator out there for you to use, and that is how they do candle math. Other people will do a oil to wax ratio instead of oil to total. So a 10-ounce candle ends up being 0.91 ounces of oil and then 9.09 ounces of wax, so that your oil to wax, the oil is exactly like 10% of what the wax is. That's fine to do it that way. It's complicated. You can't do it in your head as easy as doing 10% of the overall. It's off just, it's such a minor difference that you can go whatever way you want to go with that. And people have calculators that they share out there. I think there's Candle Pal and they do it that way. That's why I don't recommend it, because it's not the way we do our math. So if you go to my website, candlebusinesspro.com/calculators, we have a free calculator out there, and it does it in the imperial and in the metric form. So you can do it in grams if you want. You can do it in ounces if you want. And you can actually do it by how many candles you're making as well. So if you're making 6 candles at 10 ounces, you can do it all there. It's completely free. Again, that's candlebusinesspro.com/calculators. And you can get that. Once you open it up, you can just save it right to your toolbar on your website so you can easily access it at any time. So that's how we do our candle math. Either way that you want to do it is fine, but just stay consistent with it. And you're always going to have to test. So you're going to test your candles to make sure that you're not putting too much oil or not enough oil in there. And the difference between both of the math formulas really isn't going to be much of a difference at all, but there is going to be some of a difference there. Okay, so the last question that I have here today is from Norma. And Norma asks, how much do I need to invest in a candle making kit to get started? So a candle making kit, you can buy those directly from many of the suppliers. Candle Science has it, Macy has it, several places have it, and it's a perfect. Amazon probably has them as well. Perfectly fine when you're just getting started. If you're just playing around and you want to just kind of see what you can come up with, right? A lot of these candle kits are very handy because they're going to have the things that you need. They're going to have a pouring pitcher, a thermometer, some wax, some oil, probably a couple of vessels, the wicks for it, the wick stickers, all that kind of stuff. So that's fantastic. However, keep in mind that these aren't going to be perfect, and they're not going to give you a lot of options. For instance, when it comes to wicking. So if I buy a candle kit and I get this vessel, this wax, this oil, and wicks, they're not going to give me a wide variety of wicks. And so they're going to give me a wick to make this candle or the amount of candles that the kit is created to pour. But the way you make your candles and the way I make my candles and the percentage of oil that we put into this is going to change the wick size that is needed for this. So if you're just wanting to have fun, make a few candles, buy a candle kit. We started with the candle kit. One of the other things, a lot of times the pouring pitcher isn't ideal, especially if you're going to turn it into a business and wanting to pour. We use the standard large metal pouring pitchers, which you can get the plastic ones with the pouring or with the starter kits. Just fine. If you're having fun, absolutely do it. But the pouring pitcher is probably not going to be what you're going to use long term. The wicks, they're not going to give you enough of a variety for you to test a lot of candles and understand the ins and outs of what goes into those. So they're not giving you enough supplies. Also, the thermostat that we received when we bought a starter kit was like a candy thermometer, really inexpensive, really cheap. You have to, it's a big metal thing that has the mercury that goes up, and you got to hold it sideways to kind of read what it is. And it reminds me of like whenever our kids are sick, and you didn't have a digital thermometer, you would use the little glass ones. That's what you will get with a lot of these because they're very inexpensive to make. Realistically, you're not going to use one of those long term. Instead of buying that starter kit, pull up that starter kit, see all the things that you need, because you may forget some of the things that you need, such as a wick sticker, whenever you're buying things individually. Pull up that starter kit and then look and see if you can buy those supplies all separately, maybe just in a little bit larger of a quantity. For instance, they're only going to give you, say, 16 ounces of wax. Go ahead and buy 5 pounds of wax. They're going to give you like an ounce or maybe 2 ounces of oil. Go ahead and buy 4 ounces or 8 ounces of oil so that you can make a few candles. On the supplier's website that you are buying your vessels from, they should recommend some wick sizes. And so go ahead and buy the size wick that they recommend, but also buy the size up and buy the size down so that whenever that first wick doesn't work, if it doesn't work, you already have the wicks to go up or go down because wicks are so inexpensive. They're 10, 12 cents. So go ahead and buy 10 of those. It's going to cost you $1 or whatever to buy those so that you have those, because nothing's more frustrating than when you do your testing to not have the right size wick. And then now you got to go out to their website. You got to buy, you got to wait for a week for it to arrive. You got to pay the shipping all over again, all of that stuff. Just go ahead and spend a couple of extra bucks on the front end and get a variety of wicks. So that's something that we've learned just through our experience of like, we always have plenty of wicks on hand. So hopefully that helps you out with that. Again, you can get those starter kits on just about any supplier's website. They're going to have those. So just make your own, put all the items that they have, but maybe get the version that is going to be better suited for your candle making that you're going to be able to use long term. So hopefully this has helped you out. Hopefully you found some value in this. If you have, please like, please subscribe, all that good stuff. Come hang out with us at Candle Business Pro in our Facebook group. Also, I have a checklist with all the supplies that we use in our store. That should be in the description below. You're absolutely welcome to have that. So thank you so much. Take care.